Alright, we got a good hard blade. After about that, this is probably the introduction to the new leg post vise I got. This is a Kelly Steelworks, made in Chicago. Apparently these were made 1850s to about 1940, I think, something like that. So it's got to be pretty old. This is probably a newer made one. It may have been modified. Not really sure. It's definitely welded together. I don't know if that's how they came from the factory, but cool old farmhouse find that I got a good deal on. So excited to have an actual post leg vise in the shop now. Looks like we're straight, so let's get this in the oven and get it tempered. Alrighty, so we've got the blade quenched. I tempered in the oven. Did it twice at 350 degrees for an hour and a half. That's what is called for 80 CR-V2. Went ahead and did a little spot weld on the guard that'll keep it in place no matter what. Cleaned up those welds, polished up the guard itself with the little buffing wheel on the Dremel tool. Also went over the blade with a wire wheel after soaking it in vinegar to kind of bust off all that fire scale. So this thing is ready to be blued now. So I'm going to wipe down the blade and the guard with acetone and spray it down with some cold blue solution. Alright, so it's been a few hours since I put the cold blue on there, and it seems to have crusted up pretty good. Just take some steel wool to it and we'll see how it comes out. Yeah, a little lighter than I'd like, so I'm gonna acetone it again and give it another spray. Here's what our knife is looking like after the third round of the cold blue. I've got a color I'm happy with. Nice, smooth, consistent finish. Don't need any bluing on the handle itself, so I kind of sanded that down to get a little more exposed metal. So we'll go ahead and glue our handle slabs on now. I'm using that, still using that Blade Pro epoxy. Seems to be working pretty good. Just get a little on the tang itself. Alrighty, so we got the handle all glued up. So now we'll just sand off all of our glue that's on here, neaten up the profile so that the wood and the tang are flush, grind down our pins. And I like to use my work sharp with a rough belt for that. It's just easier to kind of get in the nooks and crannies without grinding too much away. Alrighty, so we got our handles looking good. I'm happy about that. So we'll go ahead and get the edge bevels in. Itself is already pretty thin, especially right here, so I'm gonna have to watch that so I don't get a dip, a recurve. A little bit thicker up here, but I've just got a 400 grit Trizec belt in here, and we'll just see if I can lay in some nice easy edge bevels. Okay, so first cutting test, I'm going to try a reverse edge cut. Been watching a lot of big Bowie knife fighting videos, and there's a cool move I want to try where it's basically from here like a ready position, and you push out, and it's almost like a snap cut going forward. So it's supposed to be a very effective false edge cut, hard to block. So I'm going to give that a shot. Yeah, nice clean cut. So purpose there, you're in a fighting stance. You push out, roll the wrist over. Because of that recurve, just cuts it all open. And as part of the recovery, which I didn't do, you flip the knife back over like that, and it's almost like a parrying false edge cut if you got something else coming over here. So pretty cool use of the sharpened false edge on a Bowie knife. So okay, so we got another victim here, watermelon. So what I'm going to try doing is starting from kind of a low position, like coming out of the sheath type idea. So it's going to be an upward diagonal, and I'm going to try to flip it around and do a downward diagonal, simulating cross drawing from the sheath, and that's like kind of your first available cut. So not bad. Not bad, not a great cut, but there we go. Now we're gonna try a couple of diagonals. Perfect. Alright, now it's time for the venerable milk jug slice. So just a straight horizontal power cut through everything. Okay, so the design of this is essentially a fighting knife. So very thin profile with this kind of false edge grind, but you still had the 3/16 inch thick on this median ridge here, so it's still a stout knife. Should be fairly strong. I wouldn't want a baton with it, but I want to see how it'll do against doing some light brush work, almost like a machete. Easy. Nice. So this is boxwood. It grows like weeds here. So I'm constantly got to trim it back, taking out lots of trees. So, you know, I'm not hurting anything too precious, but obviously it works. Good stuff. Good stuff. Alrighty, well here's a look at the finished Tiger-Hound Bowie. The handle here is probably my absolute favorite part. This is definitely the a Jason Knight type of handle. I did purchase one of his video tutorials called the Forge series that's available on his website, and I watched that to kind of see how he did his handle. So the 1/8 pins along the edge like that, that's something that he does, which is taken from the knives, the 1800s Bowie knives and stuff like that. So it's not something he invented, and I think he got some of his inspiration for this handle from like Filipino type knives. So I don't think it's fair to say that he invented it, but like the kind of modern contouring and stuff like that, some of these sharper curves, that's definitely something I think that he pioneered. But no, I think it's a good looking handle. Curly maple looks good. It feels good in the hand. So in a saber grip, thumb goes on the spine here, fingers wrap underneath like that, and then this little curve here gives your pinky a place to go. So it's a very secure grip in a saber grip. And then in a hammer grip, my particular handle is a little bit long, so your hand does have a little bit of room to move around. But just the contours, it just sort of your fingers find a place to go, and I think it's a very comfortable, functional, good-looking grip. The double recurve SOG Bowie pattern and grinding off all this material here has actually kept the blade very lightweight and fast. So even though this is a 12.5-inch blade, this thing moves really quick. Being such a thin edge, this is a really great slicer, especially with that big curve right there. This thing just slices. And doing the hand sanding on here, nice smooth finish on the edge bevels. Not perfect, I admit, but I will get better. But no, overall, really handsome knife. I think the guard looks cool. And even though the edge is thin, or the blade is thin, you still have the central rib. So, it's still a thick knife. Like it looks thin looking down on it, but the thickest part is right here. It isn't like a kitchen knife where it's going to bend around and stuff like that. It's still very rigid and strong. Since I brought the primary edge bevel down so thin, I was able to do a very thin secondary edge bevel. But it's still a fairly stout edge. Again, it's not a kitchen knife finish, so it's still a tough enough edge to go up against trees. I did some light pruning in the backyard, slice through the tree branches easy enough. So it's not a kind of woods blade. It doesn't have so much mass behind it to do really great chopping. It's definitely more of a fighter. But razor sharp on the primary and false edge. So I did have some fun doing the cutting tests on this. And before I forget, let's find our balance point right about there at that second hump. Started out with 2-inch wide 80 CRV2 stock. It's about 2 3/4 inches right here. This is probably the widest point, and then it's about 2 1/16 inch right here. And so overall length is going to be 18 1/4 inches. The weight, 1 pound, 4.1 ounces. So pretty darn light for a knife this long. And with the sheath, it's 1 pound, 13.3 ounces. So I'll show you the sheath right now. There it is. Opted for the black leather, kind of keeping with that MacV SOG theme, but I did kind of go with the Bowie knife pattern. So I've got several conchos. These are the Diablo conchos from Tandy Leather. I just think these look cool, purely decorative. But I did do sort of the gaucho style belt catch. So if you wanted to slide this in your belt, you could do that. So you can slide it in your belt like this without having to put on your belt loop. So for this would be actually ideal for a left-handed carry. So if you're left-handed, you can do that. But I just sort of like this as an option because sometimes I like to wear my knife, or I get my knife out of the car or the backpack or something like that when I'm in the woods or need it for some task. It's nice to be able to have the sheath retained without having to undo the belt. But it does have a good sturdy belt loop, So you have the belt loop, so you can just do sort of the standard knife carry on strong side or weak side for a cross draw. Cool looking sheath, fits the knife, kind of has that southwestern flavor. This is a fun knife to make. I've been enjoying doing full tang knives and forging out these tangs and shaping it on the anvil, so you can see we got a nice distal taper in the grip, forging out this kind of palm swell area here. And in Jason Knight's videos, he is kind of doing, he is setting it up in the forging process, but most of this shape is being refined on the grinder, so I don't feel so bad about doing most of this on the grinder. But you know, that's just sort of the way that the cookie crumbles. But fun knife to build. I'll probably be doing more handles like this in the future. But that's all I got for you guys today. If you want this one or another one like it, check out the Etsy link below. That's where this knife will be available. If you want to keep up with my latest and greatest work, you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook. Also got a little merch store going, so if you want a Blackheart Forge t-shirt, got some of those down there. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the support. And until next time, be more Viking.